player meeting and it ran over a little bit. So I know you guys' time is valuable. We all got 24 hours in a day. And so I'm very conscious of everyone's time. So I appreciate you guys waiting a couple extra minutes for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you joining us today. Michigan State travels to State College to take on Penn State this Saturday at 3:30. That game will be televised nationally on ESPN. Thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I know Saturday in my post-game press conference, I addressed that our team's performance against Ohio State was totally unacceptable to me, to our players, to our coaches, and certainly not acceptable to our state fans. Process-driven, means, no matter who we play, home or away, ranked or unranked, it's consistent offensively, defensively, and on special teams. We have to have the discipline to do our jobs for 60 minutes, 4 quarters in the game, and that's called complementary football. And that's what we're working toward. That's what we're building. Yes, we are rebuilding the culture here, from behavior modification to neutral thinking, and certainly recruiting is a big part of that. But I don't, and I know our fans don't want excuses. We want results. And so, we're looking forward to Penn State, and going to this game. It's all about execution. All about execution is what it's going to come down to. It will take commitment. It's going to take mental and physical toughness to deliver at our highest level, so we can play to our fullest potential. And we have to do it consistently. Consistency and performance is how you become successful, and we're a very inconsistent football team. I am proud of our team for continuing to come together based upon yesterday's practice. I see the guys are hungry and they want to get better, and that's a great sign. It's an important rivalry game for the land grant trophy. We talked about it yesterday with our players, and we are committed to coaching these guys harder and smarter, and our players are committed to playing harder and smarter. I know, and they know that we can and we will be better. We can play better than what we played. We can be better mentally, and we need to be better physically. There's still better ball ahead for us. Not to be confused with easy. It's going to be tough, but we got to get it out of them. And so, that's what this week is all about. And I feel like our players, they understand that and they want to do that. So we're going to put the work in this week, go through our process on and off the field, and then we'll take it into Saturday. Penn State's got a team that is better than their record. They've gotten better throughout the season. They've got good players. They're very well coached. James does an awesome job. He's got a really good coaching staff. I have a lot of respect for what he's done throughout his career, what he's done there, and what he's done to build that team. So I want to thank our supporters who continue to support our program. I get a lot of texts. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of phone calls. And again, I want to thank our medical staff for continuing to give us a chance to practice and play, because the only way we can improve is through practice and playing. That's the only way we can evaluate. Our guys have to be on the field and they have to be able to play. And so we're going to relentlessly stay on our protocols, on our testing schedules, our behavior modification, so we can continue to practice and to play. So with that, I'll open up for questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Chris Solar, the Detroit Free Press.
Mel, good to see you. I know that
You.
you mentioned in rebuilding some of the culture here, recruiting being such a key aspect. James, obviously, in Penn State has come into Michigan over the course of the last few years, and some of the other programs as well, like Cincinnati and regional programs like Kentucky. How do you, I guess, address these kind of games in particular when you do have the opponent coming into your backyard and taking some top talent?
Yeah, it's not about one game. It's really about relationships. Obviously, Penn State, they have a good program, and they've got coaches. One coach in particular on their staff that is from the Detroit area and played in the public school league there, and has connections with coaches there that he grew up with, and they trust him, and so obviously, because they have a good program and they have connections and they have relationships, they're able to go in there and recruit players. And that's what a lot of recruiting is about. That it's about relationships and trust, because you have these young men that have been brought up through, Pee Wee, Pop Warner, elementary school, junior high, high school. They've been part of the community, and then they get to a point where they're been developed to be recruited by Power 5 schools, and then they want those players to have the best chance, academically and athletically, to succeed. And a lot of times, they'll send players where they feel like they can trust the people there that are going to take care of them, just like they're like they were their own children. When you're sending kids away from home, and so it's a lot about relationships. And so, we're working hard to build the relationships, not just here in the state, but outside of our state, to be able to, get the players that we need to compete to win the Big Ten and get into the playoffs. We do have relationships in our state, and we have relationships outside the state, and we continue to build on those things, and so, and everyone is looking to see, what's different about Michigan State now than in the past, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all about wins and losses. Being in the left-hand column certainly helps, but it's also, what people see in terms of, how the team is being handled, the accountability, and then what players that are on the team, what they're saying.
If you want to update more accurately, it's 4 questions total that are open to.
And it's also players that are in the program, what they're saying to people outside the program, what they're saying back home about what's going on inside the program. And that's really kind of how the word gets out. And then myself and our coaching staff, how we communicate with the high school coaches and with the players, and being authentic and being honest and upfront, and laying it out there and telling them what we have to offer. And it's competition. Recruiting is competition, and a lot of competition is about comparison. And so players and their families and our high school coaches are comparing us to these other schools, and they're making decisions on where they think their players, their student athletes will have the best chance.
As a follow to that, you mentioned on the radio show the other night that you guys haven't had face-to-face contact with these guys in the last couple of months. I guess, how has that, I mean, you talk about the difference in process. I mean, how much have you guys had to alter strategies in terms of, with signing day coming up next week, how to kind of identify these guys and also find out, like what Izzo says, is find your kind of.
Yeah, the identification process is the same. The evaluation process is is relatively the same, except that you don't get to see the players live. You don't get the live evaluation. You're going on tape and what you see on videotape. We always take input from high school coaches or counselors or anyone that's involved with the player, was their parents or guardians or people in the community that have helped raise the kids and help develop them. And so, but we've had to do all of that on, text messages, phone calls, Zoom, and FaceTime. It's pretty much how we've done that. But we've been at it since March. I mean, it's not anything that's new. It's just the way it is. That's what everyone's doing. And again, if you want to sign 25 guys, it's about an 8-to-1 ratio. So you got to have at least 200 offers out there to do that. And but we offer well over 300 players for each class. And we don't not only do we have like an athletic evaluation and a score on players, which is, you got the height, weight, speed, agility, balance and body control, contact balance, ball skills, change of direction, all those types of things that you see athletically. We evaluate that, but then we also have a fit score to go along with that. That really evaluates the intangibles, things that you don't necessarily see on tape, and we have to talk to high school coaches. We have to talk to various people and ask these questions that, are character related, or, sometimes toughness related, or just certain things. And then we have an athletic score, and then we have a fit score, and then we weight it too. And then we decide if this player is a player that's going to fit into our program for what we want to accomplish here. And then those players, we aggressively recruit them, but again, there's no face-to-face interaction, but just like we do every week, every Tuesday we get on a Zoom and you're asking me questions and I'm answering questions. And so you're evaluating me and my demeanor and how I answer questions and how I treat you with respect or not. And you're making a judgment on me and what type of person you think I am, what my competency level is. Do you think that you can trust me and what I'm saying? Do you think that I know what I'm talking about? Do you think that I'm worthy? Do you think that I can build a program? And you can do that through Zoom, the best you can. And then that's what we're doing with recruiting. And then it would obviously be better if you could sit across from me face to face and do that. Then you could probably get even a better feel for my body language or eye contact or certain things like that. And so because we can't do that, it just makes it even more difficult. You have to put more effort into the connection. So that's why, like on these calls here, where normally we may be in the same room doing this, I could be maybe more, bring more brevity to the situation and be more concise with the questions, with the answers. But since we're doing it like this on Zoom, and this is my first year here, and I know you guys are trying to get a feel for me, trying to get a feel for my program, after sometimes going to more detail and give more explanation about what's going on, just so you have the information that you need to do your job, and so that I can convey, my message, to to the extent that's necessary.
Thanks, Mel.
Our next question will go to Lindsey Huddleston.
Thank you. Hey, Mel, you mentioned in your opening comments about acknowledging supporters. Most of us on this call on Sunday after the Western Michigan basketball game heard Tom Izzo pretty much stop the press conference and make a point to acknowledge you and ask for people to support you during this rebuilding time. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship with Tom Izzo and what it means to have him make a point to come out publicly to support you through your transition?
Yeah, that's a great question. Coach Izzo and I, speak on a regular basis. Either we communicate by text or call. Sometimes, he'll stop by and I'll get a chance to visit with him, or he'll come to practice. I also talk to Coach Garland. Also talk to Dwayne. Coaches there. I get calls from Cleves. I get text messages from Steve. I get texts and calls from Magic, and that type of deal. So, we have a connection. When I was here before in '97, Tom was here. Obviously I was a GA, but, we spent a lot of time, recruiting. We'd be in Nick's basement, and so I got a chance to meet him, see him there. And then I would see him along throughout the years. Like when we were at LSU, he'd come down there and check Coach Saban. I would see him there. When Nick's daughter, got married in Tuscaloosa, got a chance to see him there, and some of the other Michigan State people. So, we do have a relationship. And it's not a one-way street. I reach out to him, he's reaching out to me, and we're always constantly talking. I feel like we see a lot of things the same way, just about toughness and hard coaching, and not making excuses and finding a way to get it done, and being appreciative of the opportunity that we do have, and never relaxing, and always fighting and being basically bootstrappers, and so, I support him and everything he's doing, and he supports me. And, one of the things that I wanted to know, during the process of looking at this opportunity is, where was Coach Izzo on this with me? Because, quite frankly, in order for me to be successful here, I want his, I feel like I want and need his support, because he's been here so long. He's done so many great things. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I can learn a lot from him, and getting support from him, goes a long way for me and for my program, for my coaching staff. And so I really appreciate that. I don't think he would support me if he didn't believe in me, because he's not that type of guy.
Got it. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Matt Charbonneau with the Detroit News.
Hey, Mel, you brought up consistency a lot, and something you guys have yet to attain this year. And I'm wondering, can you pinpoint some of the biggest reasons why it's hard to get that consistency? Is it a new staff? Is it inexperienced players? And what's the key, or what's the best way to try and, improve that as you go along to start to get that consistency?
Yeah, well, there's basically 4 levels of competency. Okay, and the first level is you don't know, and you don't know you don't know. So that's where you start, and you get past that, and then you get to the point where you don't know, but you don't know. Okay, and that's when the players start to realize, okay, I don't know exactly what I thought that I knew, but I realized that, so now I want to be coached. And then they're hungry for the information. They're hungry for the coaching. They want you to pour into them, because they realize they don't know how to do it. Okay, but they know that you can teach them, and then they're really bought in, and they're digging in. Okay, then the next level of competency is, they do know, and they do know they're having success, but they don't know why. They're not exactly sure why a play was successful or why they were able to get the job done. They just know that it happened. And in that and that level, that third level of competency is that they're doing the right, they're often doing the right things, often doing the right behaviors, and that creates some success, but they're not exactly sure thoroughly why they're having a success. And so when you're at that point, then it's hard to repeat it because you don't know why you had the success. You don't know the details. So it's hard to repeat it, and it's hard to teach it to someone else, and it's hard to share. And that makes it hard to lead. Okay. So, and then the last level is, the fourth level is you do know, and you know why you know. Okay. And so, but even at that point, even if you know what to do and you know why it's important to do it that way and you understand it, you still have to do it. You still have to do it. So I can give you an example like nutrition. Okay. We have a great understanding of, from a nutrition standpoint, like what I should, if I want to be fit, you know, and maybe I don't want to be overweight, or I want to be healthier. I know what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat, and I know why, but I still have to make the decision on a daily basis. And that's not, as we know, that's not always easy to do. So then that's where the consistency comes in. So right now we're somewhere between level 3 and level 4 with certain guys. And that's why we have to continue to teach, motivate, and develop, so guys understand fully, you know, have the discipline to do their jobs, know what they're supposed to do, know how to do it, when to do it, why it's important to do it that way, do it on a consistent basis, you know, and it becomes habit, and that becomes it's behavior, it's day-to-day behavior, which is culture. It's how we live day to day. And so that's a process, you know, and it takes time. And so that's why we see inconsistency. And the only way to become more consistent is to continue to, you know, hammer on those things, those fundamental things, go over and over and over and over again, change the stimulus, change the drill, find a different way to emphasize the same thing, show them NFL film, you know, showing them doing it right, showing them doing it wrong, you know, whatever it is, come to them in a different way, delivery of information. Maybe it's video, maybe it's more walkthrough, maybe it's on paper, whatever it is, capturing guys' minds so you can get more consistency, so they can understand and they can repeat it and have the confidence to be able to do it no matter who they're playing, no matter who the opponent is, and having the confidence to do that. So that's where we are. And that's where the work comes in. And that's why it's a process. And it is not easy, but we know what we need to do. We know how we need to do it. We just have to continue to hammer at it. And then recruiting is a big part of that as well. And so that's how we get there, you know, and and we're built for that. That's what this staff is built to do. You know, so we knew it wasn't going to be easy, you know, but that's the challenge. And, you know, that's, you know, you better love it, because if you don't love it, and that's not the type of challenge you want, then it's not the situation for you.
Do you lump in some of the discipline things with that, like some of the penalties, especially we saw last week? Is that part of it too, of knowing where that line is of going too far, playing hard, and then not being disciplined on a penalty?
Yeah, that's a part of it as well. Just like, you know, I showed the players a plan of the playing field yesterday, and we're going to pass out one to every single player today that shows the playing field and the dimensions of the field. You know, from the sideline to the bottom of the numbers is 7 yards, to the top of the numbers is 9 yards. You know, between the hashes and 10 is 10 yards. The hash marks of 1 yard is 13 1/3 between the hashes and all that. So if I'm tackling a guy and I'm driving a guy, you know, I need to have awareness of where I am on the field. And once I get to the numbers, I know I got about 7 more yards to go before I get to the sideline, which is about 3 or 4 more steps, you know, and just having awareness of where you're on the field and being alert to the whistle and things like that, and then knowing when to pull off. So that's all about, you know, teach, you know, motivate, develop, and everything. And then you confront and demand guys. You confront guys when they do it, when they don't do it right, and you demand that they do it right. But you also have to try to find ways to give them more tools so that they can understand. And so, you know, that's part of coaching. But I do like aggressive play, and we categorize our penalties. You know, we have foolish penalties. You know, we have aggressive penalties, and like pre-snap penalties, jumping off sides. You got 12 guys on the field. You know, false starts. You know, illegal formations, pre-snap penalties. You know, those things right there. You know, you shouldn't ever have those. That's just dumb. You know, that's just a total lack of discipline. Then you get aggressive penalties, okay? Maybe it's a pass interference, or maybe you might get a offensive hold where a guy's straining to sustain a block, or maybe you might get maybe a late hit on the quarterback that's a bang bang, something that's a judgment call or something like that. And when you get those, then and they're aggressive penalties, then you have to coach through those through technique, you know, maybe better technique or better understanding. And then you work through those things. And so we categorize those penalties and we address them as such. And, you know, this particular, our penalty, the past couple, you know, our penalties had gone down. You know, we were, I think maybe Northwestern, maybe we had 46 yards and like, you know, total yardage loss on penalties. But this past week, we were up over 100 yards in penalties, you know. And so what is that attributed to? You know, and then we break everyone down, we address them, and then we move forward. But every 100 yards in penalties is about 7 points, you know. So, you know, penalties, you know, penalties will get you beat, you know, especially, you know, dumb penalties, and then aggressive penalties we're going to coast through. I'd rather coast through aggressive penalties, okay, than some of those other type of penalties, because we can fix those.
Thanks, Mel.
Our next question will go to Matt Wenzel with M Live.
Hey, Mel, following Saturday's game, you said you didn't have an update on Rocky. I was wondering if you do now, his status for this week and the direction at quarterback with Peyton and what he showed this past week.
Yeah, he seemed to be doing better yesterday. And so we're going to go through, we're evaluating everything. We're going to go through today, and hopefully I'm anticipating sometime by the end of the day tomorrow, we'll know, you know, who we're going to go with. And then we'll do that. But we're still in the evaluation process right now.
And obviously with the NCAA giving everybody an extra year, I was wondering, are there any seniors you expect to have back for another year next season?
Yeah, there's some that may come back, but we'll just have to see, because, you know, everyone's going to make a decision was based upon their best interest. And that's kind of how it goes nowadays. And so, you know, it's really a fluid process, and, you know, we'll take it on an individual basis, and then we'll make decisions on those guys. Guys will make decisions if they want to come back or not. You know, it's just a collaborative effort, and it's communication. And so, you know, we'll just have to see.
Okay. And if you don't mind, another quick one, just how many do you expect most of your guys, your recruits in the 21 class, to sign next Wednesday?
Yeah, you know, we'll see. You know, the indication is most of the guys that are committed, you know, will sign, but you know, we'll just have to see. You know, recruiting is fluid, and you never know until you know, and, they're not signed until they're signed, but we're willing to fight for our guys, for the guys we want, through the 16th and beyond, all the way through to February, all the way into the 11th hour. The hay is never in the barn. So, we're not adverse to competing and fighting for guys. It's not okay just to say, oh, well, he doesn't want to come, so we'll go to the next guy. If that's the guy that we want, we feel like we can still get him, then we need to fight for him and try to get the guy. And then if we can't get the guy, then we go to the next guy, but we're going to fight for guys. I like to get as many guys signed in December as we can. And then, we'll go from there. We do have a plan in terms of, how we're going to address, transfers in the portal as well, because the portal is a viable market to be able to help your team. And so we're also aggressively, evaluating the portal and who's available there on a day-to-day basis. That's a big part of what we do in recruiting.
Thanks, Mel.
Yep, you're welcome.
Our next question will go to John with the Detroit Sports Podcast.
Hey, Mel, good afternoon. I'm curious, you talked about the coaching staff put together by Coach Franklin. I'm just curious about your general impressions of Coach Brent Pry's defense and what challenges they may present to your offense.
Those guys fly around and they got a good pressure package. They seem to be able to, play to the strength of their players, and they're able to mix some coverages and things like that. And they seem to be, growing and getting better. I mean, you look at Coach Franklin, he's a guy. I mean, the guy's really, really smart. Obviously, he's got good experience, and he's had success, and you're not gonna be on his staff. You're not gonna coach for him if you don't know what you're doing. So all the guys that he has on the staff are good coaches that are competent guys that know ball. They know how to coach. They know how to recruit. And so that's what a good staff should be about, and he has that. So they present some challenges and they're aggressive, and we'll have to find ways to put our guys in a position where we can make plays, where we can possess the ball, and where we can put points on the board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next question will go to Jason Hutton with Fox 17.
Hey, Coach. I'm just wondering what Tyler Hunt has meant to your team this year. You don't often see a punter converted to tight end, and he's got a lot of playing time for you guys this year.
Yeah, I like Tyler. He's athletic. He's quick. He's fast. He's a willing blocker. He gives excellent effort. And he competes. And obviously, we needed some help with that position. We were extremely thin there, and so Coach Gilmore has worked very hard to really teach him how to play that position. And he's gotten himself to a point where we feel comfortable putting him in the game, and he's going to he's targeted, and also he gives great effort in terms of blocking and things like that, and the guy works extremely hard. I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done, and the way he goes about his business and the way he works. I mean, his care factor is high. If it on a scale from 1 to 10 of caring, and if 1 is you don't care very much, and 10, it's very important to you and you care a whole bunch. Like, he's a 10 on his care factor. And so, you can work with guys like that. Like I said, this is when I got here on February 12th, I told the guys, I said, listen, everybody's got a clean slate, and it's we're going to play the best players, and everyone's got an opportunity to show what they can do. We don't care if you're a freshman, a senior, you're a walk-on, you're on scholarship. If you love football, I like you. If you're willing to run and hit, and you're coachable, we'll do everything we can to find a role for you. And he's a guy that has worked himself into a role, and he works every single day. He's never complacent. I've never seen him take a play off. And he's hungry, and he plays with a chip on his shoulder. Okay? And to me, that's what a football player is.
Thank you.
Our next question will go to Stephen Brooks with 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Mel. Excuse me. Hey, Mel. Going into your last regular season game here, what area or areas would you say you've noticed the biggest improvements from the start of the season, or the most growth?
I was just talking to the team yesterday, and talking to the staff today, and talking to Coach Izzo. Like our coverage unit, like on our kickoff, has improved. Earlier in the year, it was kind of like a sieve. You kick off, and guy catch the ball, and he was just running, and it was like just a lot of room there, and that's gotten better. And then our return game, like our kickoff return game, we're starting to show some signs of life there. I know someone mentioned last week that that we fair caught some kickoff returns and whatever, but we also returned some and got some return yardage. We're starting to get blocks, sustained blocks, starting to get some knockdowns, and starting to create some room for our skill guys that we have that can actually pop one if we give them enough room. So that's something that we're continuing to work on. We really need to work and improve our punt return game. And then, we're also making some strides in our punt game. We're doing some different things. And we're working with our gunners and trying to get better coverage and things like that, because that has a lot to do with the field position. Because, really in some of these earlier games where we were, where we weren't having success, you were looking at, we analyzed the drive start analysis, the average drive start for us and our opponent. And like our average drive start was like our 20, and their average drive start was like on the 40. In our past two games has been about the same. So that shows me that we're doing a better job on special teams, like in terms of the return game and coverage. And that's just one area. I could talk all day about some of the other areas, whether individual guys or things in certain run schemes or defensive schemes or whatever, but I've seen some improvement there. I've also seen, improvement, on our offensive line, with some of the things that we've been able to do there, with Matt being out. And then, Buter's been banged up. With Nick coming in and doing some things there, JD, coming in and, growing in that way. And then, what some of our tackles with Jarvis and AJ, what they've been able to get done over there, I kind of see, I see some, I see in Carrick, working through some things. I'm starting to see, there's a no excuses, no explanation type mentality with those guys. And I'm starting to see we're starting to see some push in the run game, and also some cleaner pockets in pass protection. So that's been good. And I've also seen, us in the run game, finish some runs. I like to see us finish some more, but like in the Northwest again, I saw us finish some runs where, like, when we started camp and guys would run the ball, they would get yards and they get to the sideline and they would run out of bounds. They would just, get what they could get and dip out of bounds. And then we immediately confronted that and demanded that they get every yard that they can get, unless it's a 2-minute situation where we got to stop the clock. And so when I see things like, a guy get a ball, he's run up the sideline and there's nowhere to go, lower your shoulder, get your shoulder down, keep the ball high and tight, and try to run a guy over and fall forward for 2 yards and things like that. That seems like something small, but that's a big thing, because that's a mindset. That's mental toughness. That's physical toughness. And it's also, we're trying to advance the ball and get as many yards as we can get. So I'm seeing some things there, like from a toughness standpoint and straining standpoint. Those are some things that I'm seeing. I'm also seeing some younger guys. We got a lot of first-time starters, guys that never really had any significant playing time, that are getting out there and starting to settle down a little bit and starting to get into a point where they can get a call, get lined up, and play fast. Kind of some on-the-job training. And so we're making some strides there, but obviously it's not good enough. So I don't want to go overboard about what with some of the improvements that we've been making. After you just get blown out. But I do see some, as a coach and as a coaching staff, I do see some improvements here and there, and that's what makes me feel like, preparing for games. I feel like if we do certain things, we'll have a chance to win the game if we do those things, because I do see the improvement. And when we don't do those things, I'm very disappointed. I'm very upset about it, because I know that we're capable of being better.
Thank you.
Just time for just a couple more. We'll go to Graham Couch with the Lansing State Journal.
Hey, Mel, I'm wondering, as you evaluate your 2 quarterbacks, and then even as you evaluate a quarterback in recruiting, what are the most important traits you're looking for? And when you see these 2 guys on a Saturday and you look at the film on Sunday, what are the things that win you a starting job with these guys or don't?
Yeah, your quarterback has to be the number 1 competitor on your team, period. That's what he's got to be. And if you look at the best quarterbacks in the country, or the best quarterbacks in the NFL, they are the number 1 competitor on the team, or at least on the offense, and it's obvious. And they're leaders, and they have command of the offense, and they have mental toughness. The next thing is, you have to have accuracy. You have to be able to deliver the ball accurately. And you like guys to be able to win outside of numbers. We like guys they can go through a read of a route progression and go through a progression and read some things out, and to be able to read defenses. We like guys that can be able to recognize fronts and coverages and be able to get us in and out of, get us out of bad plays and get us into better plays at the line of scrimmage. So we like guys that are smart, that are football guys that will study the game, and then have the poise and the patience, to be able to go out and execute, when it's tough, and when it's full speed, and when you're on national TV and millions of people watching, you need to be able to have the poise to be able to take it from the practice to the game. but first and foremost, your quarterback better be your number one competitor on your team. And that's what I look for. When we talk about quarterbacks, what type of competitor is he? You know, and will he outcompete everyone on the team? Will he give that effort to be the number one competitor? So there's a few things there. You know, we have a list of criteria for every position. You know, what you're looking for by position. You know, offense, defense, things like that, specialists, and try to check those boxes. Plus that fit score that we talked about, which talks about those intangibles and things like that. So.
Our last one will go to Stoney with 97-1 the ticket in Detroit. Looks like we're having some audio issues.
Was that
there?
I think you were speaking groups. It sounded like that was a group.
Sorry, Stoney, we tried. If Justin Rose is on here, I think he had one last question. If we can get one more in from Justin, if he's still
Yeah,
on.
hopefully my audio is a little better than Stoney's is, Mel. The land grant trophy, it's often been recognized as the ugliest rivalry trophy in college football. Your thoughts on the land grant trophy?
Yeah, I haven't evaluated the aesthetics of the trophy. I would like to have it. You know, I would like to have it, but obviously they're not just going to give it to us. So we're going to have to earn it. But, you know, ugly trophies, you know, ugly babies, you know, you want to have them.
Thanks, Mel. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, that looks like all the questions we have. So, Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll have players here shortly. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys coming on every week. Appreciate you waiting an extra 8 minutes for me today. It's always enjoyable for me. I actually look forward to visiting with you guys, contrary to popular belief, because all you guys do a great job. You're all professional, and I appreciate the questions. And the tougher the questions, the better. So keep them coming. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Stay safe. Don't let your guard down, man. COVID-19 is still very, very strong out there. Stay healthy. Go green.
Thanks, Mel.
Thanks.
Thanks, Coach.